Hey guys, welcome to new series. Well, it's not really a new series, but do series Sundays. We usually always try to do a color update. Now I'm actually going to try and get videos done for this thing because just like with weather, you need to be informed about disease too. Why not have me do it for you? And I can also have like the links for you if you need like specific data for your place. Unfortunately, I need to find more like data collection areas if you live outside the United States, like if you live in a European country, Asian country, African country, South American country. I need to find resources for basically everyone because I want to make global updates, if that makes any sense. Because it's going to be very hard to actually get any updates to people for everyone in the globe if I can only make updates based on United States data, and even that's kind of hard to find. But people are searching for it because it's important. You don't want COVID because it's bad to be sick in the first place. No one likes being sick, and you don't want to have long-term issues, potentially. So, let's get into it. Obviously, BioBot is one of the websites you're going to be using. Also, going to use wastewater scan to prove that it's mainly COVID right now. It's not really any other diseases. So, good thing for a trend. Good thing. The wastewater concentrations nationally have been going down off the peak that was in earlier in September. This was around 600, I believe. Yeah, 630 copies per milliliter. So translate that in the cases per day. If we use the old Delta variant, I would translate to reported 200,000 reported cases a day. But using like Jay Whelan's graph, it will be currently, that would have been 700,000 cases a day. And currently, it's 570,000 new infections per day. 1 in every 580 new people are infected. And currently, 1 in every 50 people that you come across are infected nationally. But depends where you are, because if you're in the Northeast like I am, it's 1 in 42 people. I can definitely see this in school. Almost all my teachers are coughing, sneezing, stuff like that. A lot of people are doing it, unfortunately. And that's not what we want. Now, here's just a graph from Mike Holger, I think. I don't want to say the name wrong. We'll just call him Michael. I think it's Michael It's Michael Holger. But just in general, from BioBot wastewater levels, which this was recent, so that translated out to around 2% of the population is infectious. So this graph is a really good tool. So if you know your county and they report wastewater, you can go to BioBot, check your county, look at current statistics if they have it, because some places like Hillsborough County in Tampa, Florida, just stopped reporting for some reason. You can look at it from there and judge how many people in your county are infectious. Look up how many people live in your county, do the math, and you can find out how many people are currently sick in your county right now. This is the most effective way to actually calculate how much of the virus is circulating in your community. So, this is going down, thankfully. It won't go down too much farther. It will probably peter out at about 500. Not like that. Probably peter out around like 500 or 400. And then go up dramatically for the winter peak. Because this is usually what happens. September, cases start increasing. You have a fall peak. School starts. Plateau in October. And then it's November, December, and into January. It's the big surge. And then a slow come down off of winter. Just over the past 6 months, Northeast is still the highest concentration. So around 2.1% of the population has the disease right now. So 1 in every 42 people. Highest out of anywhere, because in some places like the South, it's a lot lower of a percentage of people who have it. This also got updated yesterday. No, not yesterday. Just updated a few days ago. They added another variant to the list, FL 1.51, Fornax. This is Airs. This used to be up here as well, but since Fornax got added, this got shifted down. So the main variant circulating right now, if you look over here, just going to go from top to bottom. I'm going to list the top 5. So it's that's not now. I need the most recent one, the 13th. EG5, which is Eris. CBB 1.16, which is Kraken. I have the list for symptoms on the left side on my YouTube channel for it. CBB, CBB 1.5, CBB 1.9.1, and we have FL 1.51. This is currently the one that's gaining traction in New Just right next to me. So I live in New Jersey. CBB 1.92 and CBB 1.9, and then others in here. B 2.86 is a little bit in here, but that's going to really be a problem as we get into the wintertime period, as it seems to be able to circumvent antibodies that people already have, the previous COVID infections. So we'll see what it does from there. Because if it can go over the antibodies, it could basically infect people easier. And I also think it has better binding to the cells. This is like a symptom rundown. This isn't everything. I posted this on my YouTube channel like a day ago. Only has 2 likes. Well, 3 likes. I don't think people really do care too much. One person did comment. I do like that. So, for EG5 or Eris, the main symptoms, well, at least the main ones, the most common, would be sore throat, a cough, congestion, and runny nose. For Fornax, the one that's spreading around here the most right now, I think it's a combination of Eris and Fornax. It's headache, fatigue. My grandma had this a month ago. Sneezing, which a lot of people in my school are doing. They're sneezing. It's not like if you have one variant, you don't have the other, you won't get coughing. Just like you're more likely to have a certain symptom. And then muscle body aches. There are a decent amount of people in my school who are sneezing, and a decent amount who have heavy coughs. So I would think that at least circulating around here, just in general, it's a good mix of not those two. Get rid of this. It's a good mix of Fornax and Eris, and then some Kraken mixed in as well. BA 2.86 will have to wait for that, but looks concerning. We'll jump over to wastewater scan just to prove that almost every other virus is low inside the wastewater transmission thing, except for COVID-19. Not COVID-19. SARS-CoV coronavirus 2, because COVID-19 is the disease, not the actual virus itself. Now, you guys can look anywhere. I'll just open up the graph. Well, you have to select the location. So, we'll look at SARS. We'll look at New Jersey should be here. We'll just look at I don't know. We'll look at Ithaca, New Jersey. New York, actually. So, concentrations here have been going down in this facility. Don't know where Ithaca, New York actually is. I'm not actually sure. But this factor has only been in line for a little bit. Their surge has been going down. Their peak was in August. That's slowly coming down. Variant based. I don't think that variant data yet. Add a location. Just add a state. Because you have to do this one by one. I'll just add New Jersey here. In some areas, the surge is happening now, in Union Beach. In other areas, in Bridgewater, it happened last week. Happened 2 weeks ago, and it's coming down. In some places, it was higher originally. Union Beach, it was higher. It was high in August, decreased, and then started coming up more. But just a general trend, almost all of them are higher than where they were in August. Need to try and add more cities to this. All right. It's going to be kind of difficult. Even in Maryland, starting to increase. But we'll look at the flu as well. Influenza. Influenza isn't really here. It's not detectable. It's not really any detectable level in these areas. It's more detectable back in the wintertime. We'll actually look for influenza B to check. Yeah, influenza B is also kind of there, but not really. We'll look at Michigan. Yeah, like influenza B was seen to be was increasing warm Michigan, like back in early, like late spring, early summer. But the majority of the flu was back in the winter. There's no real flu here at the current moment. But looking at SARS, highest in winter, as it usually is. In December specifically. It's high all year. And now we're starting to go back up. If we trace it back, we're coming off of this, but we're starting to go back up. As it's fall now, people are back in school. So it's starting to spread around. But this is the Midwest, so it's not going to be increasing as much based off the graph before. Just in general, if you need to check this website for anything, whether it be RSV, it's also present for like United States stuff. You could check this and like look for any specific disease in your specific area to help you, and this should inform you on what decisions you should make. I will always recommend, even if you don't feel sick or anything, like you have a good mask, which would be something like a 3M Aura. One of these N95 respirators I have east of me, to the right of me. Can't really show them on screen. I have them when I go to school. If you can also wear one of these. But I would always prefer just wear a mask that can actually fit to your face, because if it doesn't fit to your face, it doesn't really make too much sense to wear it, as you're not going to get adequate protection if it doesn't protect you properly. That's from the wastewater scan, though. From like lineages, this is what we're looking at. FL 1.56, FL 1.51 Fornax. This is the general distribution in the United States of what variants are most prevalent. Most of this is coming out of New York. So this is by Raj Renner. I can't say names correctly. I'm so terrible. Rajnarayan. Rajnarayan. Okay, I got it. Rajnarayan. This is the COVID lineage. Most of it comes from New York. You can check the sequences by U.S. state if you want to. We have noticed spike for this spike protein. I think it's mentioned here. I have to check through my bookmarks again, I think. Because I'm making a big mistake. It should be in my bookmarks somewhere. Could probably check my bookmarks now, actually. The man downstairs just coughed. I hope he's doing okay. He's been coughing for a while. I think it's because he has an injury. But just as a general list of symptoms, most symptoms of COVID, although you can be completely asymptomatic, because about half the people who have the virus don't show any symptoms at all. Most common symptoms: fever, chills, sore throat. But you can have coughing, sneezing. You can have vomiting, depending on what variant you have. You can have a red eye. It's not listed here, but you can have an irritated eye, sore eyes, headache, blocked nose, sneezing, tight chest. You can have a lot of different symptoms with it. Since SARS-CoV-2 is a virus that affects every single system inside the human body, it can manifest in many different ways. Whether it manifests through your nervous system when you feel a lot of pain, in your digestive system from nausea and vomiting, in your respiratory tract, which is the most noticeable, and then through your brain, since your sense of smell and taste are affected in your brain. So Yes, the virus can affect your brain too. That is something it does long term. But although even if you have brain damage from the virus, that's no excuse. That's no excuse to shame people for it. Like, I can't really shame people who have long COVID and have like brain damage inside because it's not their fault necessarily. Like, it's still a terrible thing for them, and it makes life harder. It doesn't mean we should have less empathy for them. Obviously, people who have pre-existing health conditions are a higher risk for severe acute infection, the beginning infection. So when you first get the virus, that's the acute infection. When it starts persisting in your body is when it becomes chronic, and that's the real issue. And if you did have the virus before, you're more likely to develop conditions that can lead to you having a higher chance of dying if you get infected again. We'll talk more about that in another video where I can actually fully explain it. Just as a general CDC tracker, they don't track everything anymore, but test positivity, it's down a little bit, like 1%. 11% positivity rate is pretty bad. Hospitalizations are down a little bit. Deaths have increased by 8%. Emergency department visits are down 12%. But this is still September. We still have a long way to go as winter approaches. Let me actually find it. It should be in my bookmarks somewhere. My bookmarks are kind of full. Splatoon stuff. But yeah, I'll have a link to basically everything in like the description for both the weather video and this one. So, it picked BA 2.6 picked up the SL, no, not the SL, S4F56L spike protein. I still have to actually figure this out myself. It has showed up in some of the CBB variants beforehand, and with this, it would have the ability to get around some of the antibodies. So, not really a good sign, gonna be honest. Here's the actual like post for it. I did bookmark this as well. So, from Mark Johnson, saw evidence on Twitter. We'll put a link to this thread as well. To put a link to this thread directly. So, tweet says, we make antibodies that block the virus. So usually when you get infected with something, your immune system creates antibodies to fight said infection. And if when you get the same virus that comes along again or a similar one, those antibodies help to lessen the effects of the virus unless it's able to get around them successfully. So most of the antibodies created against previous COVID variants that people have gotten consistently since reinfections keep happening on a consistent basis, most of them don't work against Beta 2.6 or Pyrola if you prefer that. So this probably means that the virus is more going to have an easier time walking through the immune system defenses. So prior infection's not going to be able to protect you as well from this variant than previous ones. It should still offer some protection, but not nearly as enough as with previous ones. But even regardless, you can still catch the same COVID variant multiple times, and you don't want to catch the virus itself, since it does do damage to the immune system. Therefore, catching it only weakens your immune system more, making you more susceptible to catching it in the future. Not the same for everyone, but just as a general thing, it does damage immunity over time. So antibodies will help immunity in the short term, but in the long term, you're more susceptible to the virus. So need more information to compile it. Just like I said before, I will compile everything I said into long COVID studies and stuff like that into an actual longer span video, so I can actually help people better. These are just video updates to tell, like, okay, guys, this is how much the virus is spreading in the current community. This is what it was like compared to previous outbreaks. Like, this was Omicron right here. And where we go from there. Right? That is what I'm most important about, because I want to teach people about the virus and help them get updates when they need it. And always keep them up to date, because I think that's important. Just like whoever people need updates. So, this is some things you can do. You can get the mask that I recommended. Just make sure that they actually fit your face. I would definitely recommend that you get wipes. That you get wipes to sanitize stuff with. I think I did read an article about CPC mouthwash that does break up viral particles from COVID-19 very well. You can also use that. You can eat egg yolks because they inhibit the virus's ability to actually get into cells. Obviously, you still do the other things that build up your immune system regularly. Your zinc, your oranges, your vitamin D, stuff like that. You do also want to make sure you're exercising regularly. Not necessarily to prevent the virus, but just to make sure you yourself are just healthy in general. And even inside, if you can, like if you have like a house where you know what to do, try to like ventilate. Especially even if you're sick. Even like if you're sick especially. Try to ventilate the house, open up the windows so the air gets pulled outside, takes the infected air away. Try to like find somewhere in your HVAC system to make sure infected air doesn't spread through the house and instead gets forced outside. So air gets collected, it gets forced in the HVAC system and gets pushed outside instead of getting to other rooms, which can infect other people unwillingly. And even from there, I would say could you also use the nose spray. That does reduce the chance of you getting infected. Use nose spray. Could also get a CO2 monitor to make sure you know like how much of the air around you has already been rebreathed in by someone else. And I think as a general rule, that is about it. I think I've outlaid basically everything. So I've outlaid the infection risk. We've talked about variants. Talked about symptoms. Talked a little bit about what BA 2.6 might look like. Can go back over to Jay Willen's page. Look like here. This is from the current waves. We have to see what comes after this. HV1. And then BA 2.6, we have to see what happens. But overall, I will say, just from where we are, it's been what? It's been almost, if you go through 2020, 2021, starting in late 2019, let's give like, even though the stuff in China started happening around December 2019, which started closing down stuff, let's put the start date of October 2019. Okay. November, December, all 2020, all 2021, all 2022. That's 3 years. And then mostly all of 2023 so far. So it's been 4 years of dealing with this so far. We are at, if I just use a black line, if I use a peak, try and draw a straight line across, even though I'm kind of terrible at doing this. Kind of terrible. Alright. There we go. So this, for the most part, the peak that we just had, there have been points in the pandemic where it's been worse, infection-wise numbers. Hospitalizations and deaths are lower because of the vaccine, specifically. That's why hospitalizations and deaths are lower. Deaths are lower due to the vaccine. Long COVID is still an issue regardless if you had the vaccine or not. That doesn't reduce it by too much. But where we are, infection levels are similar to what they were in the winter of 2020-21 during the Delta outbreak, during the April 2020 level. but it's not near the Omicron level, although this is a bit of a swan event. This wasn't really, it's not like the other waves down here. And it's not like, the 2022 wave was higher after March for basically the entire year. But this was due to CBB variants. And when restrictions were lifted, most people unmasked, except for the people who are still informed about this type of stuff. So, we're still in year 4. Have to see what October looks like. October should be a plateau, but infection levels will still be high. And then by the time we get to November, then we'll start looking at the next big wave. I'll look at my bookmarks again. We'll get rid of this. This is the only last thing I'll probably mention. To approve attendance. And we'll read this, and that's it. Really. So, this is at college. I think this is in the UK, really. So, even if a student has mild symptoms in the UK, they don't seem to be have a fever or anything, they can still come to school. I'm not sure if they actually have to wear a mask or not. They can still come to school, so this is still spreading the virus. Just in general, since even I'm at school right now, I don't really care if the person has their sickness seems mild or not. They should be home anyway, just so they can actually recover. There's if you're sick, you shouldn't be in school. You should be home, able to actually heal and rest, and actually be able to do the things you want at home, play video games and stuff, not suffer in school and do assignments. That's terrible. Any absence was absence under 90%. Due to minor illness. Illness is what's keeping attendance under 90%. That's what's keeping it under 90%. Illness is what's keeping attendance under 90%. So, if they want higher attendance, they need to find ways to drop the rate of illness. So, they don't want to start sanitizing or actually filtering the air inside classrooms in the UK. I mean, this is kind of deserved, honestly. I mean, if I were you, I would still stay home if I were you. All right. Other than that, guys, I think that's it for the video. Make sure if you want to check out the stuff, use BioBot or wastewater scan together, just so you can find out disease infection levels in your current area. And if you need mask or any wipe suggestions, I have these two here. I'll post these in the description, and I'll give you guys just a general mock-up of what you guys can do. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and it was informative. And yeah, we'll make another update next week. We'll see how it goes. Just gotta survive the plague box. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. This video should go up at the exact same time as the weather video does. So, you guys should be double informed. Alright, well, I'll see you guys then. Bye! That's kind of terrible, but it's a signature bye, so we'll do it anyway. Alright, I'll see you guys later. I hope you guys have a great day.